Welcome in to our Week 4 NFL preview show here at Quarterback Film Room headquarters here. Well, not really headquarters. It's where I do my operations here in Minnesota. So, welcome on in. Starting things out, Week 4, Friday evening preview show, IPA of the week, Odell Milkshake IPA. It's a seasonal brew from Odell Brewery out there in Colorado. And it's pretty good. It's cleaner. It's a milder IPA. Certainly not very hoppy, but you can still taste notes of citrus and pine. But yeah, I mean, extremely mild. Odell Brewery Milkshake IPA. Jesus. But yeah, so week 4, the National Football League season upon us. Obviously last night, the LA Rams essentially made Mike Zimmer and the Minnesota Vikings look like they're done. Like they're absolutely done as a team. And we saw this last year, obviously, in the divisional round, second half against Drew Brees. We saw it against the Eagles and Doug Peterson, and now we've seen it 2 weeks in a row. Brian Daboll, and then now Sean McVay, the offensive coordinators who are, carving up Mike Zimmer's secondary. And before I get into the previews of each of the Week 4 matchups, I do want to talk about the Minnesota Vikings secondary, and specifically how this secondary plays the pass. And I'm talking about Harrison Smith, and I'm talking about Andrew Sendejo. And when Xavier Rhodes isn't on his A game, last night, this secondary goes to the shitter. And they were just awful. So Harrison Smith, everybody talks about him being this renowned strong safety, and he sort of is in the run game. But I've been saying this for years, that Harrison Smith can't cover a lick in the pass game. And he gets fooled all the time. He's got bad ball skills. He doesn't know how to play the ball. He takes bad angles. And this is what we saw last night as well. Now, is he always bad against the pass? No. But there's been a trend that's been recurring over the course of the past 2 to 4 years where he does not show up in big spots, and he will get beat deep. Harrison Smith. Now, Andrew Sendejo, same mold. He's sort of cut from the same cloth. Good against the run at times, and then against the pass, just gets fooled time and time again. And when you've got offensive coordinators like McVay, like a Doug Peterson, they're going to confuse and they're going to deceive. It's what we've been talking about forever. These offensive geniuses are going to make these defenses look bad, especially when the free safety and the strong safety, in the Vikings case, are just average against the pass. So if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm really worried, and they need a win next week. They said at 1-2-1. So enough about the Vikings. Let's move on to these matchups for this week. First off, the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson goes to Indy. Andrew Luck is going to be at home, playing in the friendly confines. And I think the Colts end up beating the Texans here. There's something really going on with Houston's offense, and Houston's just offense as a whole don't really have an identity. They're trying to let Deshaun go out there and make plays off script, trying to let Deshaun throw the ball deep. Now Watson's looked good throwing the ball deep at times this season within the first 3 games. Now he's played well in spurts, but he has been inconsistent. It's almost as if Billy O'Brien and Deshaun, there's not a fit between those two in terms of the offensive design and what they're asking Deshaun to do. So I think the Colts win this game. Other than that, we've got let's see, we've got the Bills traveling to Lambeau. So the Bills are flying high off their win against the Vikings last week. They're going to try to do it again. They're going to travel to Lambeau, and they're going to be on the road. Aaron Rodgers, he got beat up last week at Washington. He played okay, but that offense just continues to go 5 wide, continues to not deceive anyone, and continues to force Rodgers to be the guy that carries them on his back. It's going to be more of the same this week against the Bills. Now the Bills' defense is for real, at least last week and in the second half against the Chargers. So if it just pains me. I mean, I'm not a Packers fan, but I am an Aaron Rodgers fan. He's been to multiple NFC title games. He's came away with nothing in at least 3 of those NFC title games, and a lot of it is because the Packers are just not surrounding him with elite coaches, elite schemes, and then elite defensive players to be able to take some of the pressure off him. So I think this week again, it's going to be Rodgers left on his own to try to win the football game. I think the Packers win this game, but it's going to be more of the same. Rodgers taking a beating. Rodgers, in the shotgun every play, 5 wide. It's all on him. I think Josh Allen will play good this week too. Be interesting to see how he responds or how he comes to play, if he can maintain that momentum that he generated first half of the Vikings game. Cincinnati at Atlanta. I believe the Bengals. Hey Josh, man, what's up, buddy? Not a whole lot. Just hanging out, having a cocktail, talking some football, my man. So the Bengals and the Falcons. Is this the upset special here? Does Andy Dalton go into Atlanta and beat the Falcons? I think it's going to be a tough test down there for him. But I think the Bengals will keep it close. Of course, Andy Dalton, he's been playing well. He's been hot. He's been on a roll. I think in this game, it's going to come down to the Bengals defense. Are they going to be able to stymie Matt Ryan and that Falcons offense? Because the Falcons were on a roll last week against New Orleans. We all know that the Saints have no defense, and the Bengals do. Will the Bengals be able to generate pressure within that front four? I think the Bengals beat the Falcons there. New York at Jacksonville. This has to be a pick'em game. I think everybody can see the Jets and Sam Darnold rebounding, because obviously they went on the road week 1, beat Detroit. I think Sam Darnold can do it again. But there's just no consistency with the Jets right now. But they have the ability to go down to Jacksonville and win. I think it's going to fall on Blake Bortles' shoulders once again. Is he going to be Blake Bortles against the Patriots or Blake Bortles from last week? So let's see. Eagles go to Nashville. Ooh, yeah. So Philly goes to Nashville. I think Mariota's starting this game. I should probably know this. But the Eagles go to Nashville. Carson Wentz, week 2 of being back in the fold. I think Doug Peterson, hopefully they'll be able to let him loose, because Goff went off for 6 TDs last night. Even if Wentz isn't going to come out and say it, he's kind of feeling a little bit of pressure to respond or to show that, he is the best quarterback of the 2016 rookie class. So will Wentz press in Nashville because of what Jared Goff did last night? Oh, this is an interesting game. Cleveland at Oakland. Mayfield's first start. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere for him out there in Oakland. We've got Derek Carr. We've got John Gruden. The Raiders are 0-3 in desperate need of a win. I think this could be possibly the game of the week here. Cleveland at Oakland. I think Todd Haley is going to have enough crafted up to allow Mayfield to be successful in this one and to continue to be comfortable. We saw Mayfield against the Jets. Everybody said this. National media guys, I agree. He anticipates throws. He will let it loose. He'll throw receivers open. That's what Mayfield did last week. Talk about my thoughts on Mayfield coming into the draft. I wasn't as high on him as some other people were. I thought he was like my QB 4 or 5 in the class. I had Logan Woodside ahead of Baker Mayfield. Okay. Now, what he's done is he's really perfected his release, and he's got his release to be more consistent, and he's more accurate, a little bit more accurate than the tape that I saw at OU. So, he's looked impressive. Now, he did have those 2 errors against the Jets last week. You know, he just can't have those. But hopefully, Derek Carr is able to go off. I mean, he's played well at times, but inconsistency has marred his game weeks 1 to week 3. And people have talked about Carr. You know, he has the big arm. He looks the part, athletic. He can anticipate at times. He can throw a touch at times. But it's just, Carr sometimes will see things just a beat late. It'll be just a beat late with things. So he's not a true anticipation thrower like a Goff. So, but yeah, and back to the Goff-McVay situation. Do we remember back in 2016? Like, let's just think back to 2016, right? Jeff Fisher. The Rams just selected Goff. They have Chris Weinke as Goff's quarterback coach. They have Rob Boras as a first-time play caller. They have Case Keenum, who's supposed to be the starter, who's being called the starter by Jeff Fisher all offseason. Keenum's the starter. So Goff gets into camp. We see the HBO Hard Knocks, all right? We see how they're treating him. And, of course, this is normal. You're trying to initiate your rookie quarterback. You're trying to test him. You're trying to see how tough he is, see how smart he is, everything. See if he can lead. And they were doing it. But if you remember when the quarterbacks were in a meeting, it was Sean Mannion, Goff, and whoever the hell else they had, with Weinke, and they were talking about how Goff didn't know that the sun set in the west. And I mean, they just made the kid feel really stupid. Obviously, that was a really dumb thing to not know. But it's like that's what they're focusing on. That's where their time and energy was being spent, trying to do initiations, shit tests, those types of things to Goff. And it's just like, is that really how you win football games in the NFL? Is that really how you want to make your quarterback feel confident? So then fast forward a year later, Sean McVay gets there. Sean McVay's there, okay? From day one, he is taking Goff. He's taking him into the film room. He's building an offense around what Goff can do well, okay? He's being extremely multiple with things, creative. He's designing these formations that are just ridiculous. I mean, Sean McVay looks like the modern-day Bill Walsh. Like, that's literally what he is. And Goff may be, I mean, let's not go too far, but he looks like a young Joe Montana with a stronger arm. So that's what Jeff Fisher and the old Ram staff had. And when they played Goff, and they were afraid to play him, and then they played him, and he looked bad, and it's just, like I've said, this is a case study on what to do, how to bring a quarterback along who's good in specific areas, who's a natural thrower of the football, who can throw with anticipation, who can navigate the pocket and not freak out, who can move subtly. Almost like when Jared Goff was coming out, I said, he kind of reminds me of Tom Brady at times in terms of how he throws the football, how he feels the pocket. All right, I said that. And then I also said, he also reminds me of Nick Foles. Now, let's not think about Nick Foles' 2018 playoffs. Nick Foles before that. Skittish, and after that. Skittish in the pocket. Sometimes gets frantic when he has to go to his second and third reads. So it was almost like he was a cross between Foles and Brady. That's what I thought Jared Goff was coming out. And McVay has shown that he's been able to get the best out of him, whereas Jeff Fisher and Rob Boras and Chris Weinke got the worst out of him. So, I mean, it's a case study, man. How many other quarterbacks are out there like Goff who didn't have a Sean McVay? Multiple, right? But it's just the perfect marriage. It's coming to a head at the right time, and the Rams are going to try to have to build on this momentum moving forward, and that's not going to be easy. But if there's any team that's up for this, it's the Rams. So, thanks for joining this evening. Just a brief preview show here. I'm getting a little bit tired, so I think I'm going to head to bed. So.